designed to let the good times roll with roughly 110 foot-pounds of torque at just 2,000 RPMs. The Kawasaki Vulcan 2000 Limited. At the heart of this locomotive is a liquid-cooled, fuel-injected 2053cc V-twin, linked to a 5-speed gearbox and maintenance-free belt final drive. Up front, mounted to the beefy 49mm telescopic fork, you'll find a pair of 300mm discs with 4-piston calipers gripping for all it's worth. While out back, next to those slash-cut pipes, a single 320mm disc adds additional bite. This limited edition Vulcan 2000 also comes with a ton more chrome than its standard Vulcan, along with richer paint and hand-painted airbrush graphics. So how does it all work? Well, this week we invited a former member of Toronto's finest and a Harley-Davidson owner, Ian Lever, to sample the Vulcan 2000, and here's what he had to say after a couple of days of living with a Vulcan.
So Ian, you had an opportunity to ride Harley-Davidsons back in the day when you were on the Toronto Police Force. You've turned into a big V-twin fan. I thought it would be perfect to put you on this Kawasaki. This is their flagship cruiser. What was your first impression when you picked it up from Kawi, Canada?
I was quite impressed by the look of the bike. It's a beautiful looking motorcycle. It's big, it's meaty. It reminds me of the bikes I like to ride, actually. It's a very impressive looking motorcycle.
It really is a beautiful piece. It's long, it's stretched out. It's reminiscent to me of a locomotive train. What do you think of the fit and finish, the chrome, the paint?
The paint is very nice. It's got a nice paint job. I like the paint job. The chrome is nice. I like around the headlight where they've chromed it all there.
Yeah.
And they've chromed the back there. The fit and finish, I think, is very nice. I'm quite impressed by it.
Okay, well, we know that Harley owners anyway, V-twin fans, cruiser fans, it's all about chrome and that big nasty motor. Now this is 2,000 cc's. What did you think of the engine?
It's awesome. It's in every gear it's got torque like it's unbelievable. It's a very, very fast motorcycle. It's just raw power. This is actually not a bike for a novice driver or a beginner. It's a very, very powerful motorcycle.
Well, it must have a lot of grunt, huh?
It certainly does have a lot of grunt. That would be the right way to put it.
How about the transmission? How did it shift for you?
It shifted smooth through every gear. The only problem I have is with the shifter, and I'll just show you here right now. This is a heel to toe shifter, and you can use your heel and toe, which is the way I ride. Now, if I've got my heel on the rear one here, look at the space between the toe of my boot and the front shifter.
Yeah.
This is for a guy that's got about a size 16 shoe, which I don't have. That would be my only complaint, and the heel part here is very close to this floorboard, and when you're riding, it's sometimes very hard to find.
We know it goes. You commented all day about how hard it pulls. Yes. What about stops? It's important to have good brakes with a bike this big.
Oh, absolutely. It's got a double 4-caliper disc in the front wheel and a single disc in the rear wheel. The brakes are very responsive. The bike weighs over 750 pounds, so with all that torque and with all the speed it develops, you need good brakes. And the braking system on it is excellent. I'm impressed by the brakes.
Now, what about the riding position? The saddle?
I love it. It's like I like to sit up straight when riding. I had back problems years ago and I need to sit straight. So when I'm seated on this bike with those bars and they kind of come back, they're almost like a beach bar.
Yeah.
For me, it's a very, very comfortable riding position. I could ride this thing all day with no backaches.
Ian, what about the cockpit layout, the switches, the indicators, the speedo? What did you think of all that?
Very clear. Let me just go to the switches first. Everything is clear and concise. With the turning signals, you've got to kind of cancel them on your own. They stay on too long. They are self-canceling, but it takes too long to self-cancel, so that you press this in and it cancels them. I like the bars. I like the way they come back. They're nice and comfortable. Down here where the speedo is, it's very big, very clear. Everything is illuminated good. You have a real clear vision of what speed you're doing and what's happening when you're riding this motorcycle. So I'm very impressed with the speedo part.
V-twin cruiser riders like to hear the engine, let it rumble, if you will. What's the bike do for you in terms of sound?
It doesn't, it's actually very quiet for such a big bike, and those are factory stock exhausts on that. If I had the bike, I would probably make a couple of changes, but you don't really hear it much at all. It's actually a very quiet motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. So other than the heel-toe shifter, is there anything else that disappointed you?
No, not really. I had a little bit difficulty getting the kickstand down. It was just a little tucked in too tight. Those are just minor issues. Overall, I like the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed by it.
Who would you recommend the bike to?
It's not a beginner's bike. This is not a bike for somebody who's just starting out. It should be a bike for somebody who's actually got some riding experience, and actually somebody who's a person of a bigger stature, because this bike weighs 750 pounds. It's a handful, it can be a handful, so it's definitely a bike for someone who's got riding experience, and definitely not for a novice rider.
Well, you certainly look like you're having fun out there. You look the part. You made our bike look good today.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it. It was very pleasurable.
Thanks for joining us today, Ian.
Thank you, Dave.